All right! And welcome back to Planet Gen X. Because I'm crazy and you're not. I'm Sean, I'm the host, and this is Brian. He's the co-host.
He's also crazy.
Yes. Oh, man, right out of the box with some wild-ass shit. Oh,
What's
hold
up,
on.
Man?
Not much. I forgot to hit the stopwatch. Let me turn that on now. There we go. Okay, now I can keep track of how much time has gone by and all that good jazz.
You know, that is an untapped skill of mine. I don't know if you've noticed. I've got a pretty good brain for time.
Yes, yeah. You've hit the when we were trying to guess how long we've gone. You've getting pretty close. Most of the time.
And that's just like a natural thing. Like a lot of times people ask me the time and I can say what time it is without looking at the clock. Right?
Yeah. That's a good thing to have,
especially
if you're going to get to a place on time. Very much.
Yeah.
So. I have
or
no
early, right?
Yeah, well, I have no problem with that. That's one of the few things in the ADHD curse that doesn't get me is like I am obsessed with people getting to where they're going on time because I'm early. So I guess I'm one of those that you like early is on time is late type deal. I've had a lot of friends over the years that have been super late getting everywhere, and it drives me mad because I'm getting there early. You're going to be late. You're making me sit around for like 45 minutes usually.
Yeah,
that sucks. No fun at all. But anyway, how's your week gone?
it's gone. Man, it is gone. Like it's passed, and it was quick. I don't know about you, but I've been playing the shit out of Death Stranding.
Yeah, I have. We're going to talk about that in a little while. It's on one of my little random notes to make sure I don't forget to talk about it.
We're also going to talk about something kind of tied to it, right? Which is Metal Gear.
Yeah, that's one of the PlayStation notes in the news.
That'll be interesting.
Yes, most definitely. The God, you make me want to talk about Death Stranding right now, but we'll get to that.
Right?
I promise we'll get to that because I've actually played a lot of games this week, a bunch of different ones. Those are also stuff we'll talk about later on. But yeah, and actually, I was going to ask, kind of get with you on what our actual topic today might be, and I still haven't decided that yet. What a way to go into a show, folks. Who knows? We might not even have a topic, but I've got some stuff already in mind.
Well, I was going to say, we could sit here and talk for like 2 hours without a topic, right?
Exactly.
And maybe one will develop, but...
Yeah, and one likely is when we have this much news, since we're not going into it with notes, the pacing to set. Brian likes to pace me, which is good, and he can base it off that, knowing that we could talk about something, but we don't have to. We got plenty of stuff here. Yep. But yeah, a good week. I've enjoyed a lot of different games. It's definitely been an ADHD game week for me because I've just been in all kinds of different stuff. But other than that, yeah, the week. How good I was about making sure I got on top of the show and made sure I knew what I was doing, and yeah, it snuck up on me again this week. I'm like, holy shit, it's Thursday.
Right.
Damn it. Yeah, it wasn't cool, man. But it was a good week. Just snuck up on me like it always does. So yeah,
well, I've been dealing with stuff like that a lot recently. I think I've told you I've started going to therapy. I've been trying to do some life changes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The week sneaks up on me when I'm like, haven't done my yoga or exercises for that week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things like that I'm supposed to be doing for to be a better person, right?
Yeah,
a human physical being.
I try not to miss any of that stuff, man. I get
but Thursday rolls around and I'm like, shit, maybe I've only done it once that week. Maybe I haven't at all.
Yeah, I guess I'm hyper focused on the old getting the body in tune.
Yeah,
because I'm putting I had my wife involved with doing sit-ups with me just to get her to be involved. And I've let her slide a couple of days. Well, that's turned into me missing a day here and a day there, and I'm just not down with that at all. I might still get, yoga type stuff in or just calisthenics in, but I want my sit-ups in too. She's got to spot my feet, man. She's got to spot my feet.
what the sofa's for, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll do it by myself too. I can do it without even anybody spotting me. It just takes me longer.
Well, I mean, you can just do crunches instead, which are just as effective, right?
Yeah. There's all kinds of different stuff, but I'm just trying to get her all up in, involved. Got to get her tight, like a tiger.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what's weird for me is I don't know if you know this about me. It wasn't really a big part of my personality that I talked about with my geek friends. But I used to be somewhat conscious about my health, despite being a smoker of like X amount of decades so far.
Oh yeah, I kind of remember you being, more mindful than I was of it.
Yeah, like I would work out 3 times a week religiously throughout various parts of my life. It's just hard to get back to that.
Yeah, I've never been one to do it, so doing it now is definitely a different thing.
Right.
I pretty much, and you know what? And I look back at pictures. I recently saw some pictures of me from my mid-20s or whatever, and I thought I was way thinner than I was. Definitely.
I do too, I remember myself being thinner than I was in high school.
I seem to have this permanent memory of me being like 18 years old.
Right.
Like I am 18 looking and acting right here, right now. Now I'm actually as close as I've ever been to that 18-year-old right now, and I'll get there, man. I am so focused on this. You know, I'm only 10 pounds away. I went up a couple pounds the other day. I was pissed about that. I was way pissed about it because I had a real nice go. I was down to 172 and I bumped up to like 174. Wasn't happy about it at all. That 160 is right there in my grasp.
Well, I'm coming out the other side of muscle atrophy for being a shut-in, never leaving the house.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% yet, but I'm on the other side of like physical labor saps me, right?
Yeah, you just got to get out there and do it, man. That's all you can do.
Just happens slowly, just like everything else, right?
Yeah, and then like it said, man, if you don't have weights or nothing like that, the calisthenics are great. And yoga, even though I don't know shit about yoga, the few poses I do know, man, they're great. There's just all different things you can do to at least stretch. Stretching's important, man. I've definitely found that for sure. I went a whole year without stretching because I was having bad cramps and I was miserable. And when I finally just one day said, screw this, I am going to stretch hard and my whole body out in the bed and shit. And it felt so good. It was like awakening, shedding your skin, like a cocoon getting off of you.
Yeah, certain release of disc compression in the back.
Yeah, man.
Does that for me.
Yeah, because there's fluids and shit in your discs and shit that need to, get all loose.
Move around.
Free. Yeah, lube it up and shit. Yeah.
Anyway, back on topic.
Let's get into some news, baby. News. Yeah, we love some news. And the news is, y'all remember last week we were telling you about the 3060s getting killed by Nvidia. They're getting retired because now we have the not so great 4060 Ti's, which really are hot garbage, y'all. They really are. I watched a few reviews this week on the cards, and that man, they're barely posting scores higher than the 3060 Ti, and they are gearing it for a 1080p audience. Yes, you heard me right, a 1080p audience, not a 4K audience, not even an 8K, as ridiculous as that sounds right now, but it'll be a thing. It is a thing, but I mean, it'll be a more mainstream thing. Right. Yeah, because, previous to this, like the 30s, the 20s, it was all about 4K gaming.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like, we're moving the poles, man. We're moving the yard markers just to make things, work out for Nvidia. And AMD is guilty of this same stuff too. But, yeah, like their 4K scores for that 4060 suck compared to like a 3060. You would do way better. So if you're a hardcore and got to have that 4K gaming, definitely don't buy this. You're better off trying to find a 3060. Unless you're already on it, then you might as well just stay on it until we see what comes down the road, I guess. Because
I honestly think that was like market research that led to that. Like, such a small portion of the market is doing 4K as opposed to the overall market.
Yeah.
Because people couldn't get these cards and TVs they wanted and all this other stuff.
Oh, bro, it's so true. I mean, like, especially if you're guys like me, and who knows how many guys like me are out there. I'm just now getting into the 1080 world. This laptop I have over here is really the only thing even capable of gaming at 1080. My computer that we're recording on right now, at best I might be getting 720. So there is a ton of people out there, I'm sure, I would think, that are, and I think, in fact, Linus or whoever I was watching, I might have watched both. Jesus, what was the other one's name? Having a brain fart. The other big tech guys, Gamers Nexus. That is.
Gotcha.
Gamers Nexus. Those guys. I don't know which one it was, but they were saying it was like 4 out of 5 gamers are on 1080 still, something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a perfectly valid point, very much so. But
myself, I have always wanted a 4K, top of the line machine to play something like one of these games we've been playing recently on.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that's one of the reasons I insisted that I get this Xbox X I have, just so I can experience that world in some way affordably, because that's $600, which is still a lot of money. But trying to get a gaming computer to run these same type of games, fuck off. It's I mean, I'm going to be dropping 2K easily, and that's base.
Well, I mean, we've already discussed the fact you're paying as much as a computer I don't know how many years ago, for just a video card these days, right?
Yeah. I mean, dude, these, like, what, the 3090s, I'm sorry, the 4090 is the top of the line right now. And that's, like a $1,500 card or something like that?
Probably. I don't remember the price tag, but that sounds about the right range.
Man, I mean, we used to sell computers for $300 back in the day. Like, not terrible computers.
Well, I'm saying even more recently, you could buy a computer.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could buy 3 or 4 of them. But it was always following Moore's Law for so long, and then Moore's Law is just, like, non-existent now. Yeah. Because everything was getting cheaper, things were getting faster, and now we've hit this wall where we're not getting faster as fast. We're not doubling. Mm-hmm. And everything's getting more expensive.
Right.
It's going the exact opposite way. So I guess we need a new law. Who's the next guy that's going to come out with some thing that says, well, now this is going to happen? There's got to be some kind of innovation on that law, right? Iteration on it.
Some tech guru, I'm sure.
Yeah. Let it be somebody from Intel. Keep it in the Intel family.
Yeah.
But so there you go. Buyer beware. 4060 Ti is not it. The 4070 Ti, I don't know. Not really so much. I tell you honestly, for the money, I probably would go with the Intel 770 right now if I was upgrading right now, just because they are fixing the problems they've had. I'm fully aware of their problems, but there are some cool things too. You get AV1 right out of the box for a lot cheaper than you do with the other guys. If you're doing any kind of video encoding as your livelihood, then that's a big deal. And its scores and a lot of stuff weren't terrible. And for a guy like me who is on a 750 Ti on this computer, it would still be stupid fast for me as an upgrade. So I'd be getting more bang for my buck is what I'm going with there.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I recall correctly, the 4 series is almost like just 3 series with a turbo in it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the technology that's in there is almost identical. They're not using the latest generation of RAM, right?
Yeah, and they use the same board there. We were just talking about that the other day. That's the exact same board the 3060 used.
And their main performance increase is like higher voltages, more temperature control.
So in this particular instance, this particular instance, okay, so they put this big chunk of cache on this one. This is what the difference is between the 3060 and this one. They upped the cache on it, but lowered the memory bandwidth.
Right.
So that's why they upped the cache. And their case is that, well, and more often than not, this would be a best case scenario for you. Well, I guess, yeah, if you're just looking at 1080 numbers, that probably is true.
Yeah.
80% of the time. But, it's like, dude, why, having a bigger pipe is where it's at. So memory bandwidth, especially if you're not using the latest memory, like you say, keep the pipe big so it can access a lot of data really fast. Maybe up the cache a little bit and keep the pipe where it was, and then you could say you upgraded a little bit and you call it a 40 series, boom, and then it's it'll perform as fast as the 3060 and probably a little better. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I just feel like we need entirely new chips, architecture. Like we can't just keep like making it just a little bit better, right?
Yeah, it can't. Not at this price point. It's not going to sustain itself. We have the crypto market to thank for that, and it's going to take some time for that all to level out, I guess. So, anyway,
next.
Last week we had a little talking about what it was like to play D&D in the modern day.
Right.
And it just so happens that this little D&D thing, I saw the news, it happened earlier in the month. WotC held a press summit earlier in the month. Basically talking about the D&D tabletop role-playing game. I don't really know much about that. Do you know anything about it?
What's the title?
Well, they're saying that it's going to include a revival of the Planescape campaign setting.
Right. You're just talking about their tabletop books.
I guess so, yeah. So Planescape's been gone for a while, I take it?
Yeah.
So apparently Planescape's coming back.
Planescape was kind of unique to a certain era. There were always SRDs, offshoots that kind of expanded upon them.
Like Forgotten Realms.
On later generations. Well, I'm thinking more like Dungeons and Dragons, stuff like that, the magazines, websites, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Planescape is unique and beautiful and great. I think that in the tabletop universe, it exists a lot differently than it does in the video game.
Yeah.
Because the video game was phenomenal, mainly because of the actors, in my opinion.
Right. Well, this, I remember when Planescape came out, I bought the initial box and never played it with anybody. I tried to give it to D to let him, run something, and it just never happened. In fact, he may have ended up with it. He had, I don't know if you remember, there was a Planescape Torment game that had come out on the computer that same time.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That was the game I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. For the time. It was pretty neat.
Had an amazing voice cast, right?
Yeah, it did. I had to play it over at his house. I couldn't even get it to play on my computer. That's how I was so far behind. Nothing's changed, dude.
I know I can't remember everybody, but I mean, you got the guy that played Jared from The Pretender, I think, was the main character, right? Keith David was one of the supporting characters. There were a ton of them. Was it Sheena Easton? There was some pop singer from that era who was a drummer who played the main female.
Sounds like Sheena Easton.
A big list of VO talent that was really cool today, and the direction was really, really good too.
I'm looking to see here if there's anything else. I was just bringing that up because I saw some D&D news, and I like the world of Planescape, the idea anyway. I never really got to play, like I said, other than the video game.
It was one of the more obtuse rule sets, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, and that was still second gen too.
Yeah. But it also introduced psionics and
right. Yeah, stuff. That is where psionics came from. In fact, That might have been the last like major thing. Gen 2 D&D that came out before they got bought by WotC and went to Gen 3.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember right.
Well, no. I mean, they did a lot of Spelljammer shit on the side, but I'm sure it was one of those.
Okay. Anywho, yeah, just some good news if you're a D&D fan and like Planescape stuff. I thought y'all would want to know that since we were talking about it. Alrighty, man, there was a lot of. This must be convention year month or something like that because we were talking about.
Can I just interrupt, pause, and say I'm not a fan of the Planescape idea in the current hands of the current. I don't know, operators of WotC, the people at the top.
Yeah.
Right? No.
Okay.
Not for me. Anyway,
Brian has spoken. No to Planescape Torment.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess a lot of people are having their announcement, conventions or whatever you call them. Because we had what we have last week. We had shit.
I don't even know, man.
Yeah, there was one last week we covered. I can't even think of what it was. Google. It was a Google I/O thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this week we had
E3 before, right?
Yeah, and so this week we have Microsoft they had a little deal, and they were showing off their AI stuff, and the Microsoft Copilot. Many of y'all have probably heard this for different, their 365 bundled stuff. They've had the Copilot. It's actually pretty neat, the things it can help you do, and now it's finally getting some Windows integration. And I had posted you a little video to watch on that, but it's pretty neat just watching, the kind of integrations that you can do with Windows. I have to say, though, it's always cool when you watch these and see how they interact, but ultimately when I get to use it, I wonder how cool it'll be.
Well, I mean, the technology like this is always cool. There's always innovations. There's always something new that is attractive to it, right? But now, I mean, I was upset that you couldn't turn off all the little bells and whistles in Windows, as of 10. All the arrow shit, it's fully integrated. And this is like more of that. It's going to become more integrated, the AI tools, and you won't be able to get away from it is my problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, for guys like us, though, there's usually tools that crop up, that you can get in there and get under the hood. There's always stuff to get under the hood and turn that stuff off you don't want.
You can, but like how much time do you can turn off all the arrow shit in Windows 10, but how much time are you going to invest in your registry editing and all the other crap you got to do in order to make it stable and work right?
Yeah, I mean, there's other builds too. You can download. People that make these third-party builds. I'm just saying, for the average user, you're absolutely right. You're stuck with what you got because they're not going to go through that kind of thing. But for guys like us that are willing to, use a really bent-up copy of Windows, maybe that's an option. But like I said, there's tools too. You don't necessarily have to go that route. You can just use these tools to make it really simple. I mean, I've used ones that just go through and. There was one that I remember coming out for 11 when 11 first came out, where it just let me just uncheck stuff, uncheck this, uncheck that. It was pretty basic, but it gave you everything you needed to. It just depends on how integrated this is. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
And they are so
the age of AI, though,
man, and Bill Gates bought into that shit hardcore.
Right.
He really went off the deep end. Now, that it's fair to say that Microsoft's been working on AI for years, but it wasn't until those Chat GPTs guys at OpenAI, when they came out with that, he was like, ooh, he really realized what could happen. And everything, when they were in the middle of trying to make VR work, everybody dropped VR and went straight for AI.
Yep.
Poor VR guys, man. I feel for them. They're still out there and they're still working.
There's a special contingent of them who I think one of our friends may associate himself as, and that's the AR guys, right?
Yeah, the
augmented reality.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're just losing out on market share left and right?
Yeah, but the thing is, like AI, AR, I'm sorry, VR, AR, and AI
Right. Yeah.
could really work well together.
Oh yeah.
And will. And do already, but will even more in many, many, many ways. I can't remember, but I think Microsoft might even drop their HoloLens project.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
Yeah.
Not too long ago. But yeah, so they this is just rounding out everything. Copilot is like their AI app, for lack of a better word, that's just integrated into Azure. Like I said, all their 365 products, and now it's coming to Windows. It'll be in everything. Everything
now
Microsoft
you can get
makes.
Your partisan disinformation directly on your desktop.
Indeed.
You don't even have to go to Reddit or anywhere to get it, right?
No doubt, man.
It's just right there.
Just ask the AI; he'll tell you. You're not wrong about that, bro. So if we're keeping in the spirit of people showcasing things, Sony also had a PlayStation showcase, which you alluded to earlier with the talk of Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. Yeah.
Triangle.
Yeah, I was losing my numbers. Were going everywhere. Yeah, they announced a few things, like some earbuds they were coming out with, the Project Q remote play handheld that can stream games from your PS5.
Seem interesting, but they're going to be built the same way they do all of their like audio and whatever stuff. It'll be entry level bullcrap, and then you'll have an option for a nicer class. Right?
And it'll be highly proprietary too.
Yes,
it'll still stay in their ecosystem.
Do not share my secrets.
Right. They had a preview of Spider-Man 2 with Peter Parker in the symbiote suit, which I can't wait for because I really like the remake of Spider-Man to the game that they've had out for a little while.
Right.
Of course, they've got a Miles Morales, which is basically the same thing with a different universe. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I really enjoyed that old game and the remake of it. Metal Gear Solid, here we are in the world of Kojima, you and I talking about Death Stranding.
Right.
And I have a love-hate relationship with Metal Gear Solid. I love it a lot, but God, it infuriates me so much.
You are not alone. I think that's the general consensus, right?
Yeah. And
it was one of the most hardcore, like, stealth-based games. Like, I don't know if you remember... there was a Tom Clancy one.
Yeah.
But it was super easy comparatively.
Like
right?
Rainbow Six stuff and all the Tom Clancy stuff. Yeah, it was comparatively super easy. It was Siphon Filter, I think you're thinking of, maybe. Or Splinter Cell, maybe.
Splinter Cell.
That's
what it was. Yeah.
But Metal Gear Solid 3, if there was any one I'd want to relive, it's that one. Because that one for me was just, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, but... my question is, what are they going to do with Kojima's fingerprints, right? Like, there was a definite... you feel his presence on his work, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like we're talking about Death Stranding, man. It's a film that you're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how he does things. He puts you inside of it's either a film or well, with Death Stranding, I feel like it's an episode, a season of a TV show. So you're going through episodes. Okay. That's how I feel with that one. Now, Metal Gear, I don't know. It may have been more like a film in retrospect, but you're definitely in some kind of environment like that where it's a long story, like a film.
Well, they're theatrical, right? The shots, the motion, camera motion, all of that.
Yeah, he treats the camera not like following you like you're in a first or third person view, but I mean, like, there is a camera there. You feel like there's a camera guy. Following your character around,
like elevated on a lift with somebody driving the car down.
Yeah, like a big team of guys following him in a truck or something.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty neat. Hopefully we won't. I keep dying to talk about Death Stranding. We'll get there. We're gonna get there.
That's fine. We got a couple of more things to talk about with PlayStation, right? There was a Marathon.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to get into. I kind of had separated those because it was a huge thing all unto itself, which I discovered before I even knew about the PlayStation conference, because I had seen it, I believe, watching YouTube. My wife was watching something. It was one of the ads that came on YouTube, and she was about to skip the ad. And I said, hold on there, kid. Let me see how this plays out, because I saw Bungie.
Yep.
And I was like, what is this? Because they haven't had hold of Halo in a long time, and they did invent it. Which is actually an interesting story there. They're actually tribes roots in the old Halo, if you remember right.
Really?
Yeah, the guy one of the guys that started Tribes had moved on to start Halo.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Anybody who grew up playing Tribes, knew that, and then started playing Halo was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This feels familiar. Console version of Tribes with new skins. Not everybody had a jetpack, but so
and a shield.
Yeah. This reminded me a lot of that in a way when I saw it, because it's like, if this is the same guy still, I don't know if he created Bungie back then or if he was hired by Bungie to work on this project. I don't know what the deal was, so I don't know if he's even still involved to this level, to this point, if he's still with the company, whatever.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of like Tribes with some modern slick ass skin, but it reminded me of paintball more than anything else from what I saw. It's just competitive, looks like squad warfare or something like that, best I could tell.
Well, they call it an extraction PvP.
Yeah. In fact, I was going to bring that up. Let me see here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, definitely there's room for that kind of play in the game sphere, but not really my thing.
This is not something like I loved Tribes back in the day. I never did get into Halo. Never. It was like Tribes was a time in our life when I did that. And we did a lot of it was at the Ball and Claw where we were playing on the local land there. But
religiously.
Yeah, but once that was over, me and Team Warfare kind of stopped. That wasn't a genre I cared for anymore. And there goes those damn scripts again. That is wild. I don't know whether it was just like that. We didn't have our by that time we had all moved off in different directions. So it's like that part of my life just didn't exist, where I got online with random people I didn't know and started gaming with them as a team. Like it felt kind of weird. Nowadays it's different, it's a whole different world we live in. It's easier to do that with people. And I know what I was going to say, because I didn't have a console that got online back then either.
Right.
Like when I had my Xbox, by the time I got it, I didn't have high-speed internet at the time. It sucked.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
Well, we can kind of segue that into Destiny. Destiny was a different experience for me because I was playing with one of our friends, Jay, right?
Yeah.
At least Destiny 2. I didn't play the original with him, but I was around when he played it 18 hours a day, right?
Yeah, he has a tendency to do that.
So for me, the social aspect was a lot easier because, either he would be on, he introduced me to his guild or whatever. And, games are a lot like that, no matter what it is, if there's a social aspect to it. If you have one person in, you have a guild or some kind of a grouping of characters, you've got an in.
Well, he moved right into that world with EverQuest too. So he was right there. Yeah. Like he transitioned into the world from being local at his shop with friends in that guild, let's call it, to being onto an online social guild.
Man, that was a hell of a guild.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I was trying to segue that into some of the news that we had from the PlayStation, which was Cade 6 is possibly coming back. Good old Nathan.
I missed that.
It was kind of a byline in there.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now. That must have missed the hell out of that.
It was a very small snippet. Let's see if I can find it. Cade 6 coming back to Destiny 2, the final shape.
Well, not a game I ever played, so I don't know.
Well, I liked his character. He was kind of the I don't know. Everything that was missing from his characters that he played on TV was in that character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of campy, kind of goofy, but also like a deadly type character. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't mind these remakes at all.
Me neither.
They're picking the right games. Now, what I am mad about is Final Fantasy VII and having to wait for a new, like, what are we waiting for? 2 more chapters? So we'll get 1 more game and then a 3rd game out of it, basically? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Dude, my wife was pissed. She's like, really? I'm not even done, like I've done all this and I've got to wait. It's not even out yet. I'm like, no, sorry. And who knows? I don't even know when it's supposed to come out. I don't know when this one came out, honestly. Do you know remember when the 7 remake came out?
Not off the top, no.
Yeah, I have no idea. But
there is a lot of news to cover here, and we're jumping around a lot. I mean, we're still not done with everything on the page that's kind of, noteworthy. IMO.
On the Sony
For
event?
example, yeah.
Holy shit! You said I did. I think I saw the new IBO the other day on something.
Yeah.
I always wanted an IBO, but I just don't have that kind of money to piss away, man.
No. But I mean, we really kind of brushed over the Project Q, right?
Yeah, I did.
Which is like their version of the Steam Deck, kind of.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh shit! Wrong. Yeah, I actually did mention it. I think we stepped on each other when I did mention it. So the Project Q remote play handheld, extreme games from your PS5. Sounds a lot
like the Vita.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the Vita or even like the Nintendo Switch kind of thing. You got your consoles.
The Wii U.
The Wii U, exactly. The Wii U is really the one that started it.
Well, arguably, I'd say Vita did because it was earlier. Right?
Yeah, Sony has made so many mistakes with a handheld, man. The PSP, I love it. I've got one sitting right here. I wish I had a Vita. They did so many things wrong with the Vita, so many things right by making it finally dual stick, but they should have done that 10 years prior. They waited way too long for that. I don't know why they didn't. They had prototypes and stuff with dual sticks. They could have done it, but and then when they finally did get the Vita out, they didn't support it at all. Nobody wrote any games for it. It was just crap. It's sad.
Yep.
It really is sad.
But it was cool to be able to play your games from it, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll be interested to see what this looks like. I mean, I'm not really in the Sony ecosystem. Well, I wasn't. I kind of am now because now that we've got this PlayStation 4, we're back kind of in it. So I'm having to get used to it. I tell you what, it's crazy going from the old PS3 console, trying to use the PS4 one and getting used to where everything is. Weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I've been used to that PSP. Remember the PSP and the PS3 were all the same basically. So used to that. Anywho, yeah, there was a lot in that one, no doubt.
Right. There was also, I did kind of mention Alan Wake 2. Is not coming out on disc, right? They're doing a strictly digital.
This is the way of it.
Please. Yeah. No, I don't see a problem with that, right?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, honestly, discs don't last. They're not going to last forever. I am glad in the one instance that I had my disc for Cyberpunk. It worked out well for me in that regard because I got an automatic update.
I do wish that I had a Blu-ray disc reader on my computer, which I don't have. I don't have any disc access on my computer.
Yeah, well, I don't either.
And it'd be nice to watch some of my Blu-rays and stuff on them.
Yeah, actually, no, the laptop doesn't either. I only have Blu-ray in the 2 PlayStations and the Xbox. That's it. I've never actually played a Blu-ray on them. Never bought a Blu-ray.
I've got a Sony Blu-ray player sitting in the living room in there that has just been sitting there because one of the power cable got lost during transit. And I'm like,
I guess we can go on Amazon. Is it not an infinity cable?
It's got a weird design on the back.
Oh, really? Because Sony's usually using those infinity cables in everything.
Right. Yeah.
And except for the PS4 Pro, which actually had some kind of knockoff of a computer. It was a proprietary computer type plug, power plug.
Yeah, it was closer to that, but smaller.
Weird. Yeah, I hate when they go off book, man, because I really, a lot of times, man, if I don't have that a power cord for something, I'm like, oh, this is just an infinity cord. Hell yeah, I got a ton of these.
Right.
That's one thing I do admire for Sony, and I've always been an admirer of theirs.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of They have a lot of hits, few misses, and right now I'm digging on the Samsung stuff a lot too.
Yeah.
Taking a break from Sony. Staying in the world of gaming, I just brought this up for note. We don't even have to talk about it that much. Just warning people not to bother with it. This Lord of the Rings Gollum. I've heard it's been in dev limbo forever, but it finally did come out and is now one of the worst rated games of the year already. So buyer beware. Go look at it on torrent site or something if you want to know that bad. I actually skipped over. No, I didn't. It's right here. But that's all I got to say about that. Anything you want to say about it?
No, but we can move on to Death Stranding now, right?
Well, hold on. I will say one more thing about it. It's a shame that such a universe as good as big as Lord of the Rings has people putting asinine games like that out, and not it's not the only company that's ever had or IP that's ever had that happen to, but yeah, it's a shame.
Never happened to Star Wars, right?
Yeah, right. they should have just pulled the plug on it, rather than just put a piece of crap and hope to recoup a few dollars. It's best just to pull the plug, in my opinion. That's all I got to say about it.
You can't do that.
You'd be surprised. There's so many that have gotten the plug pulled on
them.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll stay in the game world because there's a lot of gaming news this week, isn't there? Star Trek had it. Speaking of, you did say Star. Well, no, you said Star Wars.
I said Star Wars.
Yeah,
but you could say the same for Star Trek.
Yes, they've especially Bethesda. Man, they've put out some real. When they first got the license, they were real shit in the can. But no, the Star Trek, and I had just found out about this game coming out, and then it came out like 2 days later. I was like, oh, okay. Star Trek Resurgence came out a few days ago, and I actually got a chance to play it. So I can tell you myself, that's one of my, well, no, it wasn't on my list, but yeah, I figured it was just right here. I can tell you about it. I had looked at some reviews, already, and the reviews were so. I mean, roughly what I can tell, everybody's giving it either 7 out of 10 stars or 70%, something like that. Whoever's gaming site you're on, which isn't terrible, because it's not. I don't consider it AAA.
Right.
Obviously, we would have heard a lot more about it if it was, but considering they have the right to put out a Star Trek game, it's not bad. There's a lot of QTEs, little quick time events. And I don't hate it. I don't hate quick time events. Let me put it this way. I am the kind of guy that doesn't mind a nice leisurely game where I don't have to think too much. There's some times where I just want to sit down and do something like that. So this game so far is perfect for that. A lot of, move the stick this way, press this trigger, choose 3 quick responses. Everybody knows what QTEs are, I'm sure.
I hope.
Yeah.
For those who don't, quick time event.
Right, and it's just making you choose, a choice in a certain amount of time. Of course, ultimately, it'll just sit there and wait on you anyway. But
that was one of the main problems I had with the game that looked beautiful, had a great story, like all the other elements were there outside of the gameplay. Was Detroit Being Human?
Yeah, never played it.
It was purely quick time events. It was like branching storylines. You can go different ways, but like there was Yeah, it was all just quick time events and just making a decision, like choose your own adventure. And
yeah, that's basically what this is. Choose your own adventure. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
it was just lacking because of that. So far as the gameplay, the story, the graphics, all that was just beautiful,
yeah.
great.
Yeah, that's basically what a lot of what this is. I did find some of like playing it, it gives you enough to do where it's keeping you engaged, just nothing really hard to do.
Yeah.
There are points where you actually do kind of walk around as, I can't remember if it's third person or first person, but I think it's first person. But not all of it's like that. Sometimes you're just pushing the stick to the left, and it just makes you walk. But then there are parts in the game where you actually can walk around and shoot at shit. There's just different parts. And from what I can tell so far, I haven't gotten super far into it because I just got it this morning. You're playing two characters basically. So you're a commander, Rydak, I believe her name was, and then you're like a lower decks chief named Diaz.
Okay.
And yeah, like, so you'll interact with people, and based on the things you say, they might take offense or they might like you. I think I had pissed off I pissed off the Vulcan chief engineer on board.
All right.
Like, I said something smart to him, and but everybody else is cool with me. So I mean, it's just a lot of different things like that. I haven't got far enough into it to say whether the story's great or not.
Right.
There's decent voice acting. The graphics look okay. I mean, it's not Unreal 5 level stuff, but it's passable. I mean, overall, I find it enjoyable. I wasn't really annoyed by it, so I think the 7's well deserved.
Yeah.
I think it's probably on point as far as the appropriate score. In fact, if you go Epic, if you do the PC version, Epic has their 20% off sale right now. I think till at least June 1st. It might be longer than that. It might be up to the 17th. I cannot remember. Don't hold me to that. But I know we'll go to June 1st. If you go and buy the game right now, you can get it for $29.99 instead of $39.99.
Yeah.
So get it while it's hot. It's a good game.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. Especially if you're just looking for something to just kind of fuck off with a little bit, Nothing where you're stressing your mind or you're having to concentrate on where you're aiming. I mean, there is that, but it was kind of leisurely. It was just all very leisurely to me. It was just simple stuff.
Yeah.
It's very basic as far as setup. There's no, I think you can choose the resolution. There's no graphic settings whatsoever. There was very little settings. There's no save, nothing like that. I guess it's all cloud saved or something like that, but
a lot of Epic stuff is these days.
Yeah, it's very basic. So,
yeah,
that's it as far as the game. Is that all the games news we had? Yeah, we're going down the line, so we're good. Basically, the last thing on the news, not really anything major, but SpaceX did announce which ship and which booster they're going to be using for this next test flight. Which is exciting, believe it or not, for a lot of people. They like to know what's happening because they were being a little coy about it. They've got 2 or 3 different ones they could use. And Ship 25 is the ship they're going to be using, and they'll be using Booster 9 with that. And Booster 9's fairly newish. So Ship 25 is kind of oldish as far as iterations go. They're working on 29 right now. I believe 29 was one they were talking about. In fact, if I had to guess, if everything goes well with test flights and they get to the first launch where they're just actually ready to say, okay, this is the launch, this is it, no more tests, this is it, I want to say it might be Ship 29. And that's assuming everything goes really well. And they don't blow
maybe that's why they're using the 25 because, they're more familiar with it, It's better for testing because of that, maybe.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure it's to a level where they say, well, if it'll at least do this much, we know that Ship 29 will do it 10 times better. That kind of thing. I know enough about him to know he's smart enough to iterate that way. And why not use it if it's there?
Yeah,
because they've got, like I said, 2 or 3 sitting out there. Some they just use for other testing, just for like pressure tests and stuff like that, that are never meant to see space at all, or even a test flight. But anyway, yeah, so he's, as usual, he's overly optimistic, Elon. He's very optimistic about his timelines, but he has the money to have people running 24 hours a day, which gets things done.
Yeah.
So he's saying in about a month. And the way I see things going right now, that's actually not unrealistic. So we'll see if it actually holds to that. I would say if he's saying a month, where are we at the end of May? I would put us right at the beginning of July, say. That's feasible. I would say, if not that, then August would probably easily, or mid-July even. But that's your SpaceX news, and that's all your news in general for today. Yay, news! A lot of news. Yeah. And that's our show. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Well, I mean, it could be.
It really could be, because we are...
How far in are we?
50 minutes already.
50?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, sure are.
I was going to say 45 more.
So, this random BS can go long or short. It doesn't matter. One thing I'll say that is just short. Fallout New Vegas is free in the Epic Store. I bring these certain ones up like we did Death Stranding the other day, because these are big-time games that you need to go and grab. Whether you're going to intend to play them now or not, get them in your library and play them when you want to, because they only come around once in a blue moon, and this is one you definitely want to get. And it'll be around till June 1st. Maybe that's where I got the June 1st thing from. But
I don't know where I got it from. I got it from somewhere else, but I did start a playthrough and put in less than 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I haven't been back to it.
Yeah. I can't remember, there was a Fallout I was starting on my Xbox, and I haven't been back to it. I haven't touched the Xbox in a month. But probably 2 or 3 weeks anyway. Not since I last tried Hogwarts Legacy, which, I guess it was about 3 weeks ago. But yes, now that I've gotten that out of the way, get it before June 1st. You won't regret at least having it. We got.
I do plan to go back to it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the Fallout games people enjoyed. I remember that.
It was different. You know, it was iconic. It had a lot of weird themes. I don't want to go too far into detail, but it was a different game.
Yep.
In that era.
Definitely was. I remember a lot of people talking about it at the time.
Yeah.
But last week, they had, right before this, they had Death Stranding, which we told you about in the last podcast. And yeah, I've been right there in it. It's one of my main games. One of my main 5 games I'm playing right now.
The only one I'm playing.
I wish it was the only one I was playing. It's just...
You don't. Honestly, in my opinion, this game is best played in like 4-hour segments.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm playing it about 2 hours at a time, maybe 3.
I was going to say like 2 to 4, somewhere in there. You don't want to just sit down for like 30 minutes. You probably don't want to do just an hour, because it feels disjointed when you do that, right? You're just like carrying out a single mission, or like going here.
Oh, yeah.
Something simple. It's not a big part of this theatrical story that he's trying to tell.
Yeah, like it's, and this, when you get further into it, I'm sure Brian's way farther into it than I am. But in fact, I just got my cycle going recently.
Oh, yeah?
And I've been I've made two runs so far with that, so that kind of gives you an idea where I'm at.
I actually shot past that in my playthrough.
Oh yeah.
I missed the trike and went on like a number of deliveries just in like mule trucks.
Oh yeah, I haven't even gotten one of those yet. Everything's been locked so far.
Oh, they suck, man. I'm gonna spoil this for you because it's not you want it. You're gonna get a truck later that you can manufacture.
Oh really? Okay. I don't care about spoilers.
Miles above that shit. So
right on. So far it's so wild. It's like everything I love about a game. I love open world games.
Right.
I love expansive places. That's why I loved Hogwarts so much. It sounds like that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order sounds like it is a lot different than the first one, as far as being more open world and walking around, from what I understand.
I hope so.
That's best I can do with my looking around is what I understand. So I'm really wanting to get my hands on it. But just being able to just exist. I mean, in a big world where I can go anywhere and do anything like I'm really there, short of being in VR, is just amazing to me. And that's the kind of game I like playing. So this, having a backpack, and I don't know if everybody, it's definitely a different kind of game, just being able to walk around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of walking.
I mean, it's weird because people talk about it being a walking simulator, but it really is. Like, once you play it, I never thought about it when I saw other people watch it, because I just kind of panned over it because I didn't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is like a simulator, because you have to ping everything, and is this terrain good? Is this terrain bad? Am I going over here?
Yeah, and you got a center of gravity. So there's a lot of games that I've talked about with backpacks, like survival games, but they don't necessarily get in. He's got center of gravity stuff going on in there that you have to deal with, that other games just forsake and don't make you deal with. And it's really cool. I mean, it adds like, dude, trying to cross a river and you think, oh, I'm all good and I'm bracing, and all of a sudden it's too deep and you're floating down the river. That sucks. Yeah.
That happened I think that happened 3 times.
Yeah.
In my playthrough.
Yeah, I've had it happen about 3 times too myself, in one spot.
You just learn a lesson, man. You just always scan before you hit water.
Yeah, but you lose. Sometimes you'll lose, not every time, but you'll lose stuff from your backpack and whatever, and you're trying to get to it to get it back. Oh, that's when you end up falling back in like multiple times.
Yeah, so you've actually gotten to the point to where you've had to paddle to the side to stand up, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's rough. I finally got pretty good at it where I could kind of maneuver myself around. I wish it would.
Better. There's an object you'll get later that's cool.
Oh, cool. Because I wish it would let you turn around and go against the current, Even though you wouldn't get very far, I just wish you could. Well, you know how, like, I don't know. There is a certain way you could turn at least your body around to float. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, just float backwards, at least.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Because then if you're floating backwards, you can at least go one way or the other. I just thought that it wasn't really right in the movement.
I felt the same way. This is one of those games where it's got little snippets where there should be an invert axis available.
Right. Yeah, like hitting one of the paddles or something just does a 180 real quick, where you're just swapping your body around and you can, maneuver around like you need to, because you should be able to intercept your packages, and that was a real bitch. Trying to intercept them. You should be able to slow yourself down a little bit. Now, I'm not talking stop yourself, but you should be able to kind of slow yourself down a little bit and maneuver better. It's just,
what? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's just lacking in that regard, but there's so much other things that, like I said, with that center of gravity, that's just so much attention to detail. It makes up for stuff like that.
Yeah. What city are you at?
I get a little confused because, you know where the trike was at?
Yes.
There's
the distribution center?
Yeah, I think so. So there's a mission where you go to like is it a wind tunnel? I mean, not a wind tunnel, a wind
weather station.
Weather station, right after that. Okay, so I'm at that weather station, and then they've sent me back now with the trike. I've gone back all the way to the capital. And so now I'm heading back.
Are you heading to South Knot City now?
So I've already been there, and I'm heading back out. I'm making deliveries from South Knot City all the way back out to the weather station and the distribution center now.
So you're further than I am.
Oh,
I don't know how that happened, but I also went all over the place and did a whole bunch of random things as well.
Oh yeah, well
I threw a bunch of pasta at the wall when I was playing.
I made a beeline, man. I mean, like, if it said to go somewhere, I knew it was going to take a while. So, and early on, I took the wrong path altogether, and I had to go like completely back and around, and so it was a lot of learning. There's a little bit of a learning curve there.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the best thing you could. Well, it's not the best thing you can do. You follow main story in this game, you get all the cool gear, right?
Yeah.
That's how this works. That is not the best way to play the game, in my opinion, because as I was doing that, I got bored. And I was like, man, if I keep doing this, I'm just not going to have any interest in finishing the game.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started, sticking around, going different places, playing around with, where I can and can't climb, the tools I use and everything.
Yeah.
And just getting familiar with the game and interacting with the characters, getting more info about the lore, going back and reading all the entries.
I'm still clueless about what the fuck is going on. I mean, like, I understand that there's, like, a veil between worlds is very thin, but right. I haven't read as far as what is going on yet,
Well, you have your mail, but you also have the
bios. The bios.
Well, the bios, interviews.
Yes, interviews. Yeah.
And those are just chock full of lore, and so are your interactions directly with some of the people you deliver to.
Yeah. I've picked up some stuff along the way, and I just haven't taken time out to read all the stuff I've got so far.
Me neither, man. It's a
deep game. Yeah, it's a very deep game, and I am so glad I found this game. I really am, because it's cool having the online aspect. I wish
cool and weird.
It's weird, yeah. It's cool and weird, because that's what I was saying. Like, I wished I could see some of these people sometimes, or
I'd love to log on and run into you, right?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But so there's just random signs that pop up, and it is neat how they help you, though. Right. Like, people put in areas that have been dangerous, and if you lose your path, you see a sign, the guy's got an arrow pointing, go this way. Hell, I didn't even notice pathways at first when I was there. Like, I was just making my own way and shit.
Well, did you know? I didn't know this about the game until I started researching stuff. Apparently, if a pathway gets walked long enough, like, rocks will get moved out of the way, and like it'll clear into a pathway.
So that explains why, like, paths will just be gone for a minute, and then all of a sudden there's another path not too far down the way.
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll just see little sections of path.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, the most useful sign I found, it's the only sign I ever put up, which is timefall shelters. You can build them off of your PCC, but like, there are areas where there's timefall before you get to that point.
Yeah. And
I think I only saw like maybe 2 before I put mine up.
I didn't even know it was a thing, bro.
Yeah, it's just one of those hologram signs.
You can put up. I got you.
It says timefall shelter.
Yeah. Cool.
And they're just places where you're like, it's always going to be timefall there, and you're under a highway or something like that, and it's like, hey, you can hang out here and all your stuff's not going to get ruined.
Yeah, that's cool, man. No doubt.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that it's given it kind of an online aspect. For people who aren't super social, it's very cool for.
Are you a member of the Brotherhood of Traveling Boots?
No.
Oh, no?
No, I don't even know what that is. I don't think.
Every place I go, I always hit up the shared locker.
I haven't done that yet. That's why I don't know.
That.
Okay. I was going to get to it.
Every city you go to, so here are the things you need to do. Every city you go to, take all of their kyber crystals out, unless you need to fabricate something that needs them. So you may want to leave like a small reserve and a specific one. Okay. But you want all those chiral crystals. Every one you can get. Every time you visit one, they got them, get them.
Damn, I've been depositing them.
Well, I mean, you just want them for a variety of things. Like your carriers and other stuff.
Yeah.
But the other thing you want to do is make sure you hit the shared locker, because you'll find materials in there. I found a pair of level 3 Bridges boots.
Oh, cool.
Locker
yeah, I haven't got anything over level 1 yet.
And I wore those bitches forever. Until I started getting chiral boots. I got a couple of pair of those now.
So that's weird. Like, I'm farther along, I guess, in the story, but you're farther along in evolution, I guess.
You went in a straight line, and I kind of like diversified.
Yeah. That's the beauty of the game, though. We're two totally different takes on it. But you're also pointing out the other beauty of the online aspect of it, because here you are getting this random shit in this shared locker from people you've never met, don't know anything about, and you're communicating through signs and likes. And that's another system I like too, is the whole like system. That's pretty cool.
Right. It's interesting in the lore, but I will say, as far as the shared locker is concerned, the Brotherhood of the Traveling Boots that I'm talking about, you'll almost always, whenever there's stuff in there, you'll find a pair of boots. They may be level 1, they may be level 2. Like I said, I found a 3. And so commonly what I will do, if my boots are not in just, if they're above, I would say 40%, I take them off, I put on the new boots, and the ones I was wearing go into the locker, because somebody may be able to use those.
Yeah, man, absolutely, dude. Just pay it forward, man. Right?
Yeah.
Why not? But man, y'all, I hate that the game's gone. You know, I hope y'all got it last week while it was still around, because it is so cool. I mean, fuck, go buy it. It's probably not. I don't even know how much it is. It's probably not expensive if they put it up for the free thing.
Yeah, it's probably going to be for sale in any of their next.
I should have gone and looked. But yeah. So that's one of the games I've been playing. The other one is I borrowed my dad's Arkham Knight, because when he got his PS5, I was installing games, and I just happened to play a little bit of it while I was at his house, and I was like, oh shit, this is very nice. It was like having Spider-Man. Like it's one of the things I love about Spider-Man too, is having that grappling. Spider-Man obviously has his webs. You know, you can shoot around, you can glide on your cape. I've wanted to be in the Arkham series for years. I have the first game on PS3, and I've only played a little bit of it. I've been so about this series and never hardly played it at all. But this Arkham Knight is a lot of fun. My wife has been just letting me. She's been into a mobile game she's playing, so she doesn't want to watch TV. So she's like, "Go play Arkham Knight." So she watches me play that while she's playing her game. And yeah, I've gotten pretty far in that. Well, I guess not really that far, but it seems far. And then, of course,
the combat in that was really satisfying, wasn't it?
Yes, it's very good, very good. I don't feel like an idiot when I'm playing this game, man. It's like when I go to hit a button, it's very confident in what I'm doing. You know, there's not 1,000 combinations. There's a few, and that's all you need. You know,
like punch, 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 kick, kick, kick.
Yeah, and a couple double button, hits or something like that. I'm good with that. Yeah. But don't start giving me upright, down, down. Punch, kick, punch type shit.
Right.
We're getting in. That's why I never liked the Mortal Kombat, the Street Fighters of the world. Any games like Killer Instinct, all that stuff, Tecmo or whatever.
Well, I hated the finishers and all those. But Street Fighter 2 is a lot different. The problems for me were with the joysticks in the arcades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. I did fine with Street Fighter.
You can get away from on console now.
Yeah.
Right? And console was honestly fine with 2. We played it on Sega.
Yeah.
And man, those consoles, the controllers for that console just held up the whole time through.
Yeah, that was the only one I ever got into with my brother, was playing Street Fighter 2. That was the only one I was ever any good at. And I was button mashing most of the time.
Right.
I knew a few.
But it was a lot more simple, It was just
was
half circle, quarter circle,
right,
forward, whatever.
Exactly.
But it wasn't like this. The thing that frustrated me were like the finishers and stuff, where it's like forward, forward, down, down, up, up, left, right, BA, all this other shit you got to do. Right.
Yeah. It takes you a fucking half hour.
You accidentally throw a punch at the end of the combo, right?
And you're like, go! Get over here. Yeah, so that's been a lot of fun, that game.
Yeah.
And it's the end of the series too.
What else you playing?
X-Wing Alliance. I told you that I had to separate everything out because it was just getting chaotic. You knew I was playing the total TIE Fighter Total Conversion.
Yeah.
And I played a little bit of that earlier in the week, but I really wanted, because I told you I screwed myself. I didn't have the very best of the mod on there, just like an earlier iteration, not the latest patch. So now I have all the latest patch and everything, and yeah, I'm just having a ball with just the X-Wing Alliance game as it was, just with pretty graphics. And with my Sidewinder, I don't think I'd want to play it with a gamepad. It would still be better than, not having a 3D joystick. But man, that Sidewinder just makes it play like just smooth as butter. I love it.
I don't know. I've always felt like in any flying game, I've never been comfortable with keyboard and mouse or a gamepad. You don't necessarily have to have a joystick. It's the most common one, but like even throttle controls with like a something to the side, like a trackball or whatever. Oh, you need more than the general stuff.
Oh, right? No doubt, dude. And you bring up throttle controls, dude. That little throttle thing when I'm behind, like if something's coming around to get behind me, I'll fucking throw that throttle down, turn around, and then throw it back up real fast, dude. That's handy as shit. It's something that on the keyboard you can do, but it's taking your hands away from your joy. I like, for one thing, that damn Sidewinder of mine's big and heavy.
Right.
I do like that. The old Sidewinders though were light, and you had to hold them with two hands. If you were holding it in your lap, you had to hold it down. Putting it on a desk or anything. I mean, anybody who had a desk big enough, you were lucky. Right. But for me, I was always like I had to hold my joystick, so it was a lot of one hand operation. And maybe I had my thumb.
Felt more comfortable like below the waist as well, right? Like
I thought so. I mean, that's like in the cockpit, right? When you're in a flight simulator.
When you're doing this.
Yeah. Who wants to be like, yeah, you're exactly right. I'm up here with my joystick.
Right.
But it has made a huge difference for me. And I've heard one of the guys say, I think it was the guy on Mags TV, the YouTube site where I found all this stuff on. He was saying that the squadrons, which was a lot like the modern TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, that it doesn't handle near as good as the old X-Wing engine did, TIE Fighter engine. X-Wing Alliance really, to me, is the pinnacle of them all as far as how it handles. They really got it down perfect there. So that's pretty much, I mean, like I said, I wasn't lying when I'm playing all these games. I think I snuck in a little bit of American Truck Simulator in there too this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that a soothing Zen game for you?
Oh, man, being an ex-truck driver, it kind of is. Like I said, man, I like for simple a lot of times.
Well, I also imagine the traffic's not as crazy, right?
You'd be surprised. It pissed me off, dude. I like picking loads that use these ridiculous long trailers that are articulated. Yep. I have this Chinook helicopter I had to deliver, and I have an escort. Well, to maintain the game correctly, you can't get over in your lane until both escorts are in their lane, making a space for you. Right. Well, so I'm coming in, and I'm merging into a part of an interstate from another part of an interstate. And there's these trucks by where I need to get. Well, my escorts get over in front of the trucks, and the trucks won't get the fuck out of the way. The AI just went to shit. Like, it just boogered up on me. I'm like, fuck. So I ended up just knocking the dude out of the way and getting a $900 fine. And then later, we go on down the road, and then I find out, well, I have to start over anyway. They waited like 5 minutes before it told me, oh, you didn't do that right. I'm like, wow. Somebody needs to fix that bug.
Right.
Jesus. So, yeah, I got mad. I'm like, screw this. But, yeah, generally, I enjoy it. Because that stuff I would have never dreamed of driving when I was doing it for real. Like, that would have had me with a puckered asshole the whole time. And that's
what I'm saying. Like, you're not. I'm sure they put traffic events into the game, but you're not driving with these people on the road that are, trying to cut you off just to get around the guy in front of them, right?
Dude, Atlanta, fuck.
Yeah.
285 in Atlanta is a trucker's nightmare. I drove over on people so many times to get them the hell out of the way. They are so aggressive over there, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But when you're in a big truck, you got kind of like, it's either you get out of my way or we're both going to be in an accident. And I promise you, I'll come out of it.
You get out of the way or we're going to be here much longer.
I mean, it is what it is, dude. I mean, like, I was coming on them too. They were going to have to get out of the way.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I touched gaming wise this week. I've been all over. I installed a new version of Spider-Man 2 Remastered because they had come out with a update for it. I have a new mod I'm going to eventually look into one of the Star Wars games I used to like, Empire at War. One of the few RTS games I liked.
Yeah.
And there's a mod to update the graphics in it, and I was like, ooh, because I actually have that here somewhere on disc. It's one of the few games I still have my grubby little mitts on.
Yeah.
So I thought, I enjoyed that one a lot. So
you've mentioned the last episode a couple of times. I have been working on my D&D campaign.
Yeah.
And picked up a couple of things. Apparently, you can't do quite everything that you can in some virtual tabletops, but you can do a lot of the stuff that you get from a virtual tabletop in Evray, the Discord bot now.
Oh, cool.
So overall, there is a lack of me being able to share content that I have, and that's just like universal.
Yeah.
But it feels like if I had some way to do that, I could pretty much just use what should be a free version of D&D Beyond, and Evray to run a campaign.
That's cool.
And the players do the same to play it. Yeah.
That's really neat. I saw that.
It's almost there, but not quite.
I saw Epic was giving away Discord Nitro free for a month to certain people.
I saw that too.
I didn't look into what the requirements were, but I didn't know if you were getting a chance to check that out, if that would help see. I don't think it would give you enough, because I have had servers with actually a couple injections of Nitro on it, and it didn't offer that much. I was actually pretty disappointed with Nitro. I think it's priced way too high.
I currently agree.
They don't offer nearly enough for what they're charging. And then and I don't really understand it altogether, because you start paying this price monthly, but then you still have to have other injections too to really get it like super cool. Like if you want it really high up there, and how all that happens, I don't know if that's through other people or if you just pay more yourself or what, but
it's how everything happens these days, man. It's the algorithm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a fan. They need to redo that. I love Discord and everything. Discord's been a great app for me in many, many ways.
I agree. Yeah.
But that's one of the things that they are way out of the... I don't know how much they actually make off that. I wonder, because I don't know anybody who's actually paying for Nitro.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that one of the few complaints I have about Discord, we're broadcasting on this.
Yep.
It's the fact that I can't get all of the controls that I want for my cam in here.
Yeah.
You can, in some instances, use OBS for it. I can't. I don't know what my problem is with Droid Cam fighting OBS and something else in my system.
Yeah.
But I think it's the Logitech software for the other webcam.
Yeah, could be.
So I can't go in and configure things through OBS the way I would like to. So if it was in Discord, that would solve that problem.
I tell you where OBS would really break through even more than they already have is to offer a basic service like this where you can link two people together to chat.
Definitely,
that would be huge. If you could do everything in OBS, oh my God. Actually, and they may have, because they have a plug-in system. I wonder if anybody's written some kind of something to do this in OBS.
Unlikely, because a big part of this is also cloud, which I'm not sure they have integrated directly into like their backbone, right? You can you can send stuff to the cloud and you can stream and whatnot, but there's nothing in their infrastructure to give you actual cloud space. Yeah. But that would be a limitation. But theoretically, you could stream.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Yes, if you could
allow it.
Stream to me, and I'm obviously local or whatever.
Right.
That would be. I think that's possible.
In the olden days, we would call that a telenet.
Yeah. Yeah. Old school days. Well, that's all I really got on my BS thing. Well, I got one other thing, but I don't. It's not interesting. But I mean, it might be, but we've talked for long enough. We've gone. Let's see what the old.
Yeah, we're running a little long.
Yeah, man, we're at 120. Yeah.
Yeah.
119. It'll be 120 by the time we say goodbye. But yeah, it's been packed full of all kinds of info show today, and even
it in the box.
And our we'll officially say that Death Stranding was the official show.
Sure.
Thing.
Even though we talked less on that, well, I don't know about less. We did. There was so much news, right?
When I break it up into chapters, ultimately this will have a nice long period to it, the Death Stranding part. But
well, it'll definitely be a larger.
Yeah. So we thank you guys as always. I forgot to tell you guys to smash that like button and hit the subscribe button. I meant to do that way at the beginning of the show, but please.
I like to say it. Give me the thumb and sub.
Thumb and sub. Give me a thumb and suck.
Well.
Did he just say that? Yeah, he did. All right now, y'all. You take care, okay? All right now.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, y'all, man. Keep it, what does it always say?
Be excellent to each
other.
other.
Be excellent to each other. We'll see you on the flip side. All right.